Selina Hostels, once one of the largest hostel chains in the world, has lost 99% of its valuation on the stock market and will be delisted from NASDAQ. The company released a filing on July 22nd that they have absolutely no way to avoid insolvency. As of now, the company is still in operation, but if you look on their website, a lot of their properties have closed. Me personally, I stayed very recently at their Teatro Athens location in Greece, and that property is now permanently closed on Google. And I kept in touch with one of the bartenders there, and she said that just kind of randomly they came into work one day and were told that, hey, no longer is this property in operation. In this video, I want to talk about my experiences staying there. What do I think is going to happen in the future? What they got right, what they got wrong. How did this happen as being one of the largest hostel chains in the world? So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. My name is Alex. On this channel, I cover everything from fitness to travel to lifestyle, everything from trip reports and first impression videos of being in new cities, as well as just general kind of travel and fitness content. But again, in this video, I want to talk about Selina Hostels, what's happened to them, what went wrong, what they did right. And for reference, I've been to a lot of countries over the last few years, and I've stayed in a lot of Selina properties as well. Ever since I've been nomadic and kind of moving around, I started at the Selina in Porto, Portugal. I've stayed in Medellin, Colombia, Cartagena, Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Cordoba, Argentina, Athens, Greece, Mexico City, Bariloche, Argentina. So I've stayed in a lot of their properties, and I'd like to think I had a pretty good idea of what to expect and what I enjoyed about staying in them. So first things first, before I just dump all over this company, I do want to say what they actually got right. And I think the quality of the product was simply a lot higher than most people were used to at other hostels. Historically, hostels were marketed mostly towards backpackers, kids who were doing like a 5th year or just like quit their job and wanted to go travel through Europe or South America or Southeast Asia, wherever you are. And these properties were designed to be very affordable, lots of like dorms and bunks, and very, very cheap, very kind of trashy, people hooking up in the bathroom, and just like overall, that's kind of what the perception of hostels was historically. One of my best friends stayed in Prague, and he stayed in a 64-bed dorm that was €1 a night. It was kind of like military-style housing, just in a big gymnasium with a bunch of bunk beds. And he actually, really enjoyed it. And at the time when you're like 18 to 23, let's say, you don't really care that much because it's nasty and the bathrooms are gross and people are snoring and people are having sex, and it's like really not a good like restful sleep. But when you're at that point in your life, you really don't care. So that's what hostels were historically. Then Selina came along kind of during this remote work revolution. I think their timing was remarkably fortunate as well, because this was a time when all of a sudden every company in the world essentially went remote. People were working from their homes, which gave a massive opportunity for companies like Selina to create high quality remote working destinations where people could go for long-term stays. Because they focus on long-term stays, you just avoid a lot more of the riffraff because people actually kind of have a reputation there. If you're gonna stay somewhere for like 1 to 3 months, and like let's say on night 1 you puke in the lobby or you break something or you get in a fight, like your next 1 to 3 months are gonna be kind of in peril and you're gonna have a worse experience because you've just done something that has a bad image for you. Because of this, you get people actually a lot more considerate, a lot more respectful, and a lot more thinking for the long term, almost as if they're a tenant in like a rental agreement. They also had a lot of a long-term focus, like they had restaurants on site, co-working on site, very high quality Wi-Fi from wherever they were. Like the power didn't really go out in these places. They had lots of common areas. They had lots of wellness spaces like yoga and gyms and that kind of thing. And it made the place very approachable, even if you were just going to stay for like 1 week, all the way up to a few months. And it was great. Like that first day in Porto, when I stayed in the one in Portugal, it was amazing. They had a pub crawl that took us to like some of the best bars in town. The co-working was awesome. I was in a private at this point, and I had like a nice setup. I had a mini fridge. I had a desk. I was able to work from my room. The Wi-Fi worked everywhere. Everyone had like a really good vibe about them. There was just always like a good energy around the hostel. People were respectful. There was definitely people getting drunk and having fun, but none of like the debauchery and the grossness you would expect of a typical hostel. They also just had a lot of events. Almost all of them had something going on at all times, basically, outside of like the traditional kind of pub crawls or maybe beer pongs. They also did like excursions in those cities where you could go like hike Patagonia through the one in Bariloche, or you could go the one in Lima that I stayed in. Totally forgot I stayed in a Selina in Lima. You could go to like the Paracas Islands and see the penguins. And they had like just kind of cool stuff you could do if you wanted to party or if you wanted to sightsee. And because of this, it created this sense of community because Because if you signed up for an activity on, let's say, the first day, whether that's like a walking tour or something really basic, you're meeting people and then you're gonna have them in that hostel for at least the next few days, because most people staying in Selina's tended to stay longer than just the typical 1 to 2 nights that you see in other like backpacking hostels. Additionally, I think the cost was actually fairly respectable compared to Airbnb. So like this was also kind of during the time of a lot of pushback against Airbnb. Cities were like, yo, this is like screwing over all the locals. You're spending way too much money on these Airbnbs. You're pushing out the locals. No one can stay here. It's all like expats and remote workers. And it's just like ruining our community. So Airbnb started to have a lot of lockdowns on this at the exact time that Selina was starting to open more properties, expand their reach, get into new countries. Even countries that they were in, they were opening additional properties. Like even in Bogota, when I stayed there, they had like, I think 2 or 3 different Selinas all within the downtown area. Like that's incredible. It gave people a lot of options. And because of this, the price was fair. It was very compelling to want to stay in them. Like for instance, the one I stayed in Cordoba in Argentina, I was in like a rooftop penthouse. I had a full kitchen with a stove, with a dishwasher, with a mini fridge. I had a massive TV, a huge bed, a big patio, obviously my own bathroom, like everything, a walk-in closet, like tons and tons of space to really spread out and do my thing. I was able to get turn down service from the housekeeping every single day. And I was paying literally, I wanna say like 38 USD or maybe 45 USD a night for that place. And I know in comparison, when you look at like options for locals, if you know how to get a place there, you can pay like 400 or 500 USD in Cordoba, but it was compared to other hostels and like what I've seen in the past, that was a really, really good price for a lot of amenities for someone coming from North America. Now, as a comparison, kind of where they've fallen off, like for reference, I'm planning my January in Mexico or Panama City. I'm still figuring this out, but I was looking at Tulum pricing as just an option. This is not a video about Tulum. We'll get to that in a totally other video. But I was thinking about Tulum as an option, and I was looking at the Selina. They have 2. They have one on the beach and they have one downtown. Now, the one downtown for 19 nights, I was looking, they wanted almost 5,000 USD for 19 nights in a hostel. This did not have a kitchenette. This was basically just like a simple hotel room essentially with like a private bathroom, my own bed, a safe, and a closet, which is very, very, very pricey. For reference, I was also looking at like Airbnbs during that same time, and I was looking at anything from like 1,000 to 1,500 USD for that exact same time frame in that exact same neighborhood. So really the cost stopped being affordable for people like me, and it just didn't make sense anymore. I loved the sense of community. I loved the feel of them. I loved being in a Selina. I had great times and I had great memories being there, but it just kind of fell off, and I don't think it's as enjoyable and as valuable as it used to be. They expanded so fast. So it was VC funded, which for anyone who's not like super familiar with business, basically means they were using someone else's money to continue to expand and buy and lease new properties and grow their brand and just like pay influencers to come see them. Like they were spending other people's capital to grow their business. And what that means is eventually if the cash flow doesn't end up being able to support the debt you have against those VCs, the company kind of falls apart and collapses on itself, which is what we're seeing right now. So just for reference, I believe when I stayed in Porto in Portugal in July of 2022, I want to say they had about 25 properties at that time. Because I remember going to their destinations page on their website and being like, yo, this is amazing. Look at all the cool places I can go stay at Selina. I was in the Porto right at that point. I'm like, this is awesome. I want to stay in all of these properties. I was looking at like future trips next summer. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Now, as of today, this is August 2024 when this video is being recorded. They have close to like 80 properties across the world. They expanded into like Israel, into Australia, into Thailand, all over Europe, all over South America. Like they are kind of everywhere. They have some in London. They have some in New York. They have some in Miami. Like they've really just grown so fast. And because of that, I think they spread themselves very thin, and the product and the overall experience of being at a Selina really suffered. When they were in a limited amount, they were able to focus on creating this super unique remote worker experience that was uncontested. They were the best. If you were a remote worker or like a digital nomad or someone who could just bring your laptop and go places, Selinas were elite. There was nothing better than them. They also, I think, kind of missed their target market. Like Selina in my mind was meant for these remote workers, but they kind of started to pivot back into traditional backpacking. It kind of took away from the experience because you had a lot of people like in the common areas and the co-working, like on laptops trying to work and like trying to do their thing. But then you combine that with like 5th year students who just got out of school who are like maybe 19 and just want to get, you know, drunk off their face, which totally fair, I would want to too. But now you're mixing these two kinds of customers, and it just, you can't cater to both. Like one wants a high functioning, good Wi-Fi, kind of quiet during the day, maybe some nighttime activities, and the other one wants just like beer pong and pools and that kind of thing. They're just like dramatically different clientele that you can't service in the same place. It's like trying to sell like fine dining and McDonald's at the same place. They're both amazing, they both have their time and place, but you can't have them kind of simultaneously. I also think the product quality and just the value for it decreased like so fast. Like for reference today, I was just looking at my bill of what I paid back in 2022. So that Porto room, I had a private, I was there for 9 nights. I paid 962 euros, which is like fairly expensive. But if you think of a hotel in the grand scheme of things, it's really not too bad. And this was like a nice hotel basically in the center of Porto. Now today I looked at that exact same room for the exact same dates, and it's almost 2,300 euros. So more than double what I would have paid back when I first went there. And now looking at that price, that's like, you know, 3,000 Canadian, let's say, for 10 nights, 9 nights, even in a hostel. So I'm $300 Canadian a night. That's like crazy to me. I can get such a better deal at an Airbnb, subletting, other hostels that have privates, or even a hotel is gonna be cheaper than that. And I think they kind of also just cut back on their programming. Like when I was in Athens, it was amazing. They had this rooftop bar that had like a view of the Acropolis, and you're looking at downtown Athens, and you can see like almost 360 degrees around where you are. You're one of the highest buildings up there. It was incredible, it was beautiful, I loved it. But they kind of cut back on some of the other events that I used to see at Selina's. Like there was no pub crawl in the lobby, which I used to see in every single one of them. There was like no like wellness or fitness events. There was no walking tour. And then contrast to the hostel I just stayed in Edinburgh in Scotland, it was, you know, they had walking tours, they had events going on every day. They had whiskey tastings and beer tastings, like just kind of cooler stuff that I would have expected Selina to have, they just no longer had. So kind of what's my takeaway of this? I think it's sad to see. I had an amazing experience in all the Selinas I've stayed in. It's been a little while since I stayed in one, like the Athens one in May 2024. Before that, I'd say it's been like, I don't know, at least like 6 months since I stayed in a Selina. And I would say that experience, my Selina one in Athens, was the worst one I've had. So it's noticeable how much the product has gone down if you were someone who is like a Selina head and stayed in them often. It's understandable to see the trajectory of the company based off of like the moves they made and how quickly they tried to expand and how much they wanted to go to all these different countries. I mean, the good news, I guess, is that Australia seems to be operating business as usual no matter what happens. So I would guess they are cash flow positive by the sounds of it. So it seems like they're going to operate no matter what happens to the company. I mean, my guess is that someone will purchase their most profitable locations and then turn them into some other kind of brand. Like for anyone who's been to the Selina in Medellin, Colombia, it is always sold out. They have some of the best events I've ever seen. They have like salsa classes and pub crawls and like ping pong, and they have a full like indoor bar that has like a jungle feel with shops around the outside, and it is cool. They have a massive co-working space. Any of the events like remote year, those travel groups, they actually use the co-working space in that Selina for their month. So there's you know, gems amongst this that I can see just being profitable. But at the same time, like Athens when I was there was completely sold out. So I don't really know what's gonna happen, but that's just my guess. You know, I do think it kind of would be cool though for a brand to capitalize on this opportunity and kind of do what Selina was trying to do. Like, I really feel like one of these mega brands, like, I don't know, like Sheraton or Marriott, I guess they're the same company now, could purchase these locations and start like a new brand dedicated towards like nomads, remote workers. Like imagine they had like Marriott Nomads where you could go to these locations all over the world, collect points, have like a loyalty program. But these suites are designed for long-term stays. Like they maybe even make it like the minimum like 2 weeks. So people actually have to stay there long. You kind of just, again, are gonna tailor that clientele to the people you want and a lot less of the riffraff. So this is gonna be my thoughts on the Selina hostel chain. It's unfortunate. I will miss them dearly. I'm not sure, like they haven't released any more information about when they're actually going to stop operations. But like I said, in Greece, every single property is closed. They were just opening like 2 more, I think in like Naxos and Paros. They're gone off the website. So keep an eye, if you are booking in the future for Selina, I honestly would just not book any right now unless it's like night of or the week of. Like I was looking in January, 5 months from now, and it's just not worth the risk because they're probably gonna be gone by then. So hopefully this video was useful. Anyone of my travelers who are looking to stay in a Selina, again, don't do it right now, it's a bad time. If this video was useful, feel free to leave a like or comment in the section below. Always helps the algorithm. As always, my name is Alex. Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. We'll see you in the next one. Peace. I will miss them dearly. I'm not sure, like, they haven't released any more information about when they're actually going to stop operations. But like I said, in Greece, every single property is closed. They were just opening like 2 more, I think, in like Naxos and Paros. They're gone off the website. So keep an eye. If you are booking in the future for Selina, I honestly would just not book any right now unless it's like night of or the week of. Like, I was looking in January, 5 months from now, and it's just not worth the risk because they're probably going to be gone by then. So hopefully this video was useful. Anyone of my travelers who are looking to stay in a Selina, again, don't do it right now. It's a bad time. If this video was useful, feel free to leave a like or comment in the section below. Always helps the algorithm. As always, my name is Alex. Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.